you over to Alan Bennett. Will you join with me in making him very, very welcome?
Thank you very much, Carol, for the warm welcome this afternoon, and good afternoon to my fellow worker, and good afternoon, friends. It's a delight to be here and lovely to see your smiling faces, and I'm sure they'll still be smiling at the end of the afternoon. I think I first saw Chris Shepherd working at the Tumberton Centre on a Thursday or Friday night, or whenever it was. And she blew me away on that particular night with her work, and I'm sure it's even better today. No pressure on you at all, Chris, but just wanting to say that. It's lovely to be here. With things going on around the place, it seems to have been a pretty terrible start for the year, doesn't it? Bad stuff going on, well, not only in Australia with our fires, but other stuff all around the world, and we can tend to get very depressed about all this. Anne and I received a little message from Spirit 3 weeks ago when things were looking very bleak around our part of the world. And it's very brief, so I'll just read it for you. The earth is in a healing process. With this comes much hardship, frustration and anger. The wildlife will suffer, like the flora and the animal kingdom, etc. However, this cleansing must be done so that people will care for all on the planet Earth. The uniting of hundreds of helpers, carers, etc. is immense. This brings about a more positive approach. In this case, the positive outweighs the negative, so more harmony will take place in the future. Life is changing, but for the better. The colours of the earth plane were very dark. There was not much brightness to be seen. Patches here and there amid the darkness. Even now it is changing. Lighter shades are projecting through the darkness. This is the love energy from the people who are caring for one another. And all life on earth is the recipient. This may be difficult to understand at this time, but there's lightness and hope ahead. Very brief, to the point, and on first hearing or reading of it, thinking, well, how can that possibly be so? But this was before all the money and the sentiments and the love flooding in for all those who had lost much in our fires. And so from Spirit, they're observing our planet, our beautiful blue planet, and it's been a mess, and it's been murky, and the energies have been all crunched up and suppressed and not able to flow. And it's a major event for us in our part of the world, but it's a really small event, big time, on the planet as a whole, I suppose you could say. So there are people in all the other countries of the world that are carrying on doing their own thing. But they heard about it and they decided to do something about it. And so their compassion is activated. So instead of thinking, well, I've got to pay the bills next week, they were thinking, those people have lost everything they own, surely I can do a little bit. And so the energy in that individual's area and aura transforms, and that love energy from Spirit that as mediums we know all about, which influences me as I stand up here speaking now. This is something everybody on planet Earth has the opportunity to experience, but it just isn't handed to you on a plate. You have to make commitment. You have to make commitment to that higher power of love so that you can become an instrument for change in the world. And for a small group like ours, you think, well, what can we do? But even one individual can start the transformation, and it spreads and spreads and grows and grows. And so we finish up with a massive pool of light around our globe rather than the denseness and cloudiness and fogginess that surrounds us most of the time. And so it's easy to say, well, what can I do? I'm only one person, and okay, I'll sit and meditate and I'll work on healing and so on. And yes, that's good, and it's positive for us, and it's positive for the people around us and the people that we're sending healing thoughts for. But if you haven't been doing it, let's do it from now on. Within our healing prayers and meditations, think of the planet. Think of the whole, not only the whole of humanity, but of all life on this planet. And then send that healing energy out into the universe without limit. We don't know what's out there. We haven't got a clue. We can name a few planets, but we don't know the workings of the universe. We have got no consciousness of that. We can't cope with what that might be, but we can focus on ourselves, our family, our community, and by doing those steps, and if enough people do it around, say, our state for a start, and I think it's already happening on our state because there is so much help being made available to people who are in trouble at the moment. It's just wonderful, and the energy is so strong. But through our country, and then from there on, China's in big strife, as we know at the moment, terrible strife. The negativity there coming from the leadership is debilitating and suppressing of this love energy, and human beings can't exist without it, can we? We all want a partner in life. We all want children to nurture and grow, and we want to be, whether we've actually thought about it in that sense and put it into that context, but we all need that love, and we reach out for it in those particular ways, finding our friendships within the community and our children, nurturing them. And so that love energy goes around. Pretty hard for Aussie blokes to talk about it by and large. So they don't say it much, but they'll express it in other different ways and think they're getting away with it. But if you're wise up to it, you know very well what they're up to. They are expressing love, but they just won't admit it. But that's okay. It doesn't matter, because the words don't matter. It's the energy that's coming out of us. And we all underestimate how much power we can generate within our own circle in the community by the links with spirit that we have. It's okay. It could be done through any of the great religions of the world. If individuals are practicing the basics of that religion as they should, that works. They're reaching out to the higher power. They're reaching out to that limitless God, and able to pick up on that vibration as a result of their contemplations and meditations and prayer. It all works. And I have a formula about that which just says, if you can see what is common in all the great religions of the world and forget about all the stuff that isn't common to them all, then you've got the nucleus of what humanity has in relationship with a higher power. That's the real deal stuff, not the fish on Friday or stuff a bit like that, trivial man-made rules, but the higher teachings that have come from the masters over the centuries and eons of time, and even to communities like our own Aboriginal community, which is certainly far from Christianity, but there's an enormous spiritual connection with their way of viewing our world and its connection with the spirit world through the animal kingdom and their totems and so on. And so they were the original foundations of all religions, and it's that connection with truth and integrity that make us who we are. And as white people in our country today, we're learning a little more every year that goes by about the power and the quality of those original native connections with the spirit world. And as spiritualists, we can well and truly link and connect with what they do. And I find it really interesting that individually, and we look at spirit art that has come through a spiritualist medium in the UK, and some of the dot drawings of the Aboriginal community, and you can see parallels and similarities in the works that they do. It's spiritual energy those Aboriginal artworks are working with as they create them. So everything's connected, everyone's connected to everyone else. We're all connected around the world, whether we know people or not, and what we do and say and how we go about it has an impact. And so the trick is, yeah, all right, that's okay, but how do you do it? Well, the first golden rule is if it's not happening with you instinctively, that link with spirit, then we have to work at it. I had to work very hard at it for quite some time, and that is meditating on spirit connection, linking with your guardian spirit, finding out who that guardian spirit is, feeling their presence come and move into your own energy field and be a part of you is one of the most special feelings you will ever have in your life. And from there, you keep going and learn more, and also learn more, particularly through the heart, in the stillness within ourselves when we go into that quiet space of meditation. And that's where everything happens. And that's the hardest thing for us to do, because all our lives we've been trained to think about this and think about that, and why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And the mind is in control. And so by contemplation and meditation and quietness, we suppress the energy and the impact of our conscious mind and allow our higher conscious mind to be empowered to work more fully with us. That's what it takes. And everybody, every human being alive can do it. It's just up to us as individuals to dedicate a little bit of time, not a lot, a little bit of time, to getting into that space of spiritual energy where things can happen. And then when you're there, it depends on our other innate abilities, whether we're drawn more to spirit communication and linking with loved ones of others to give them comfort and confidence, or into healing, or into psychic art, or automatic writing and writing. There's so many books in the library in all our churches of people that have written of their own experience with evolving their spiritual personality. So many great books of so many people all around the world. It's not just Australians, it's not just people in the UK, but all around the world. Brazil, the Netherlands, all through Europe actually, but it's a bit harder to find there, but they're there, and they're working with it, and they're more coming out into the open with it as well. And so everywhere people are working with spiritual philosophy, but we seem a bit like the Secret Service. It's hard to find us in the first instance, but you will be led there. You will be led there. I was led there. I had no idea, not a clue about what this was until I was 33 years old. And bingo, just like an explosion of, why didn't I know about this? How come people didn't know about it? It wasn't talked about. And if you're brought up in an Orthodox religion, well, the devil will get you. And I have a wonderful brother-in-law who passed in the spirit a couple of years ago, and he's one of the best men I've ever known. But he was indoctrinated into the Christian church, and Anne and I have been spiritualists for 47 years, a long time. And every year, early on, he gave up in the end, but every year he'd say, the devil will get you. And I would say to him, well, I was baptised in a Christian church, so wasn't that supposed to protect me from the devil? And I can't recall his answer to that. I don't think there was one. But I knew that truth. I mean, he knew and knows the great truth of the divine entity, and his son, one of his sons, I would like to say, Jesus, and that was his great guide. But the modern day teachers of that have just got it wrong. They have just got it wrong. And it's up to the individual to find out the truth for themselves. And find the truth and it shall set you free. How true is that statement? It does. It sets you free. Nobody will ever change your mind for you once you know that reality that we all know here today. Our loved ones in spirit will come to us with great love. Even if things were a bit dodgy before they died, they will come with great love when they're in spirit, because that's the energy of connection. And so if we open up to them, they are there for us. You only have to send them a thought and they will be with you. This is just a truth of how it is. And we just have to look for their little signals to know they're there. I have one helper in spirit, and the only way I know he's with me is I just get a little tick in the side of my lip, like that, and I know who it is. It's just that subtle and that simple, and yet so someone that's unaware of it say, oh, you're making it up. But have you ever tried to make a tick in the side of your mouth? I can't do it. But that was his way of gaining recognition. And other people come and, as you're working with spirit, more come in to help you in other directions. And so they all have their own signal and their own way of giving you recognition. So in your own journey with development, if you're sitting in circle, that's fantastic because you've got a teacher to help you and guide you. If you're doing it on your own, just in meditation, just look for those little things and ask questions in your head and await the answers you receive. And if you've got any doubt, talk to one of the teachers in the group that will be able to help you and gain a greater understanding of that. The world needs all the help it can get at the moment, and we are all there set up for spirit to use if we only say to them, here I am, use me for the higher good. And just use your prayer, use your meditation, and look forward to the wonderful things that can come from all that. I wanted to close by just reading a little segment from a favourite book called Opening Doors Within, which was written by, not a spiritualist, but a lady who was a founder of a wonderful spiritual group called the Findhorn Foundation in Scotland. And her message for today has this to say. The new heaven and new earth are here now. It is simply a question of recognising and accepting what is happening and raising your consciousness so that you are fully aware of all that is taking place within and around you. if you are not aware of all that is taking place at this time, it does not mean that it's not happening. It simply means you have shut it out of with your own pride and arrogance, which have blinded you to the wonders all around you. Therefore, keep raising your consciousness. The higher you raise it, the more clearly you can see the truth. There is nothing in the way to blot out your full vision. When you have beheld the wonder of that vision, then bring it down and live it. Let it become part of your everyday living. Unless a vision is manifested in form, it does not become reality. I tell you to behold my new heaven and new earth manifested in form now. So it's all here for us now. As of this day, that was Eileen Caddy's message from the Spirit she refers to as the God within me. And so we're all there, we're available, ready for Spirit to work through us. Believe it. So many people over the years, so many really good people in the churches that I've met say, I'm not good at this, I can't do that. Well, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Raise your consciousness. Pray for that in mind in your prayers. Ask for the help to raise your conscious awareness, and you will be amazed what you can do. Thank you for listening.